guess we live in this world of the media, which we are participating in right now, of course. And so I'm certainly not speaking in a negative way, but we all watch the news every day, and the news brings us, generally they always say safe landings are not newsworthy, but a crash is, unfortunately. But when you think about our county of Medina in sort of a general terms, I mean, I grew up in Summit County. I have a law office in Medina. I've lived lots of different places, but my conception of this place from the time I bought my first property here was it's a pretty wealthy community. It's a well-do community. It's always done fine. This doesn't exactly fall into what you would expect, does it?
Not at all. Not at all. And we're in the foreclosure part of this, John. It's not just real expensive homes. It's all values of homes right now. So I know when I'm asked what area do you think it's impacted most, my answer always is it's everywhere. If we are such a wealthy community, I don't know how we ever got to these numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm not buying into that at all. And some people have owned their homes for many years or have had their homes and they're being affected by it. When someone gets a divorce,
sure,
that impact there, without those two incomes being able to afford the home. The American dream has always been to own your own home, and that's what they had, but only for a short period of time.
Well, you make the trip here to Wadsworth from Medina, as you and I both did today. You see all different kinds of homes, but one of the things I think that might stand out is that we have a lot of suburban housing. I mean, in fact, Wadsworth schools, Medina schools, Brunswick schools, for a kid like me who grew up in Cleveland, saw them as suburbia. I mean, that's where you moved, and during the 60s. Somehow or another, you don't much think about those type of homes winding up at auction, but the fact of the matter is almost 100 of them a month. That's a lot of homes. And I take it the primary bidder on these homes is the bank?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and then the bank is going to take it because they have the note on it and they're going to try to protect their property. What do they do with them?
Well, a lot of them, I think, at this point in time are going for quick sales. The real estate, trying to get these homes sold at least, maybe
Sure.
not for the value that they were purchased, but now what they're being sold at, which is a good thing. However, we can move these homes and get people
Maybe get
back in
somebody
them.
back in.
That's good for our county. Getting people back to work, that's number one.
That's the key.
Our county, as you know from reading the newspaper, have done layoffs, and in my offices I couldn't afford to have one person gone. We're that
I wouldn't think
busy.
you could.
I can't service the public if I don't have people there trying to get these
Sure,
things done.
sure.
And so it's very important. I'd like to see people get back to work, being able to save their homes. Those are our goals.
Sure.
And we try in all of these offices to help people every way we can. And I think we've done an outstanding job, not just myself, but all the other electeds.
So all of you, I think the message that take back from that question is, and I have sort of thought it through here a little bit, even though I'm talking to you, this isn't any one, this is really a collective effort on all of your part. In that we've broached the foreclosure issue, and we should talk about this a little bit more. I mean, I have lots of questions I could ask you, but because this sort of dovetails into a topic that we've raised here on the show before, and it obviously is not getting any better, so we probably better keep talking about it and educating the people about it. But what are some of the latest options available for someone who's facing it? In other words, I think you know what I'm saying. The poor guy who finds himself in this position, maybe before, well, either before or after, I don't know, Kathy, but when I say before or after, the bank sent you the pleading in the mail and says, here's the $300, let's get going here. But the poor guy who lives in the house, what's for him?
The first thing he should do, basically, he can call the clerk's office. We can direct them to the auditor's office. There are people there to assist people, and we'll help them through that. A lot of the churches, a lot of different organizations, ESOP, all of these people are willing to try to assist people that are faced with foreclosure. And I personally can't tell them how to file something, but the auditor is now helping people to prepare something. They bring it to me and we file it. It's called an answer after they've received that foreclosure.
Sure.
And that helps the negotiations start.
That's interesting, because one of the things that Judge Kimbler brought up on the show, and I think Steve Bailey did too, was this answer idea. A lot of people don't, I think you and I know it a lot because we just see it a lot. There's a lawsuit is a complaint and then you answer it within 28 days,
right,
or you're going to lose by default. Not everybody knows that. And so what you're saying though, see, it's a good thing that we're telling our viewers this, because most people wouldn't think to call your office for that. But you have no problem with referring people to wherever they might get some help.
Not at all.
And
Not at all.
And so if Mike Kovac and his crew help out, our homeowner could return to your office,
right,
even without a lawyer.
Right.
And at least he puts his answer in, and that stops from a default judgment.
Well, if you're being foreclosed on, money is what it is, and so this is why we're all stepping forward. And I know that many attorneys also step forward with people to try to assist them also.
Our office does.
I mean, if you have an attorney, I would advise you to go to one. If not, there's still assistance there. Do something. You have to do something in order for us to know that you're involved with this and that you're still there.
Well, it's a sad story, but I mean, I'm glad you're here to tell it. I mean, we all have to pull together and try to do something about it. I do want to just spend a minute at the end here, as I see our time is fleeing us, but you've been with us for a long time. I've come to recognize your name on court filings as long as I've ever been a paralegal or a lawyer. Kathy Fortney is our clerk. How do you see the future of Medina County impacting on the duties of the clerk? Do you see your successors, what are some of the things that you see will happen here with the clerk's office?
I spend a lot of time, John, in Columbus right now. I'm president of the Ohio Clerk of Courts Association, so a lot of laws are constantly being changed that impacts the clerk's office in my title offices and in the courts. And so you have to stay abreast with that. That's so very important to know what you're doing there.
Sure.
So I can only see that the future is always about growth. Technology today is wonderful, but along with that, you have to respond to the state auditors' requirements and so on. Being the clerk, you have your hats on in many different directions.
Sounds like it.
And I've been very proud to be the clerk since '91. And so I've tried to do my very best for the people of my county and other counties as well.
Certainly.
And so it never stops. And that's probably the most exciting part of this job.
Yeah, it's a changing, interesting job. But you see, obviously, technology will, future clerks will have to get more and more savvy. I think people of you and I think we're contemporaries in age, have seen this whole world of the computer come about. I used to be a school administrator, and I can remember when we did our scheduling by hand and went to the computer, and then I became a lawyer, and we looked up books, and now we have Lexis and whatever. I imagine it's the same thing that holds true with your...
Well, I think the next step is electronic filing. I think that's an exciting part of it. I may be a clerk that's been here for a while, but I'm open to all of those things.
That's wonderful. In the federal courts, that's what you have to do now.
Yes.
It's now law. Well, Kathy, that time went pretty fast, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
I'd certainly like to thank you for being our guest on Law Talk today. To view this episode and others, go to www.czclep.org. I am John Celebrezze, and I thank you for tuning in to Law Talk.
To keep up on Medina County and other legal issues, go to www.czcourtreporter.com, a function of the Celebrezze-Zangi Community Legal Education Project. At CZ we're devoted to the education of today's legal issues. Fueled by the public's keen interest in our legal system and current events, CZ is dedicated to the educational venues aimed at enhancing the understanding by all citizens. For a complete listing of dates and times for this telecast, tune in to WCTV Channel 15 or log on to wadsworthcity.com and follow the links to WCTV.
I'm John Celebrezze. Please join me in getting a better understanding of the law.